Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this webinar all about getting your books up to date, ready for self-assessment. My name's Emily. I am the Chief Accountant here at FreeAgent, and I am just going to share my screen to take you into a FreeAgent account. There we go. So hopefully you can see my screen. I hope you all have both sound and vision enabled. If you're having issues with either, please don't worry. We'll be sending out a recording of this webinar, so please don't try to note or remember everything I say. You will be able to watch the recording back to remind you what we covered. Today, I'm going to be doing this demo in my sole trader account. That's where I am now. I'm currently on the overview screen. I'd like to take the next 20 minutes or so to show you how to easily and quickly bring your data into FreeAgent so that you can then file your self-assessment return. Just to say, we won't be going over everything about how to fill in the self-assessment tax return in this webinar. We do have other webinar recordings available where we look more generally at filling in a self-assessment tax return. But as you'll see, much of the return will be automatically completed by FreeAgent. You will need an active FreeAgent account. You can use one that you've set up or create a new one, but please make sure you choose the correct business type, sole trader, limited company, etc., if you are making a new account. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm afraid that because there are quite a lot of you here today, I can't take questions from the floor. Instead, though, I'll let you know at the end of the webinar how you can get help from our support team and what help they are allowed to give you. Most sole traders, unincorporated landlords, and directors of limited companies should be able to file their self-assessment directly from their FreeAgent account. I'm afraid we don't support filing for partners or partnerships, though. The process for entering the data is the same for a limited company or a landlord as it is for a sole trader. So for a limited company, you'll also need to make sure you've recorded your payroll. We support the same self-assessment pages for each account type now. You can see more detail on that in our knowledge base. You can access the knowledge base through the support section of our website, or alternatively via the link at the bottom of your FreeAgent account. I'll just click this link to show you, and I'll go to the self-assessment section. You can see we've got a lot of guides relating to self-assessment, but some that might help you today are self-assessment for sole traders, self-assessment for limited company directors, and self-assessment for unincorporated landlords. I'll give you our contact details at the end of the webinar. If you have any queries, our support team will be more than happy to help as far as they can. Let's go back into my FreeAgent account now. In order to file your self-assessment, you will need to have registered for HMRC for online filing and have a government gateway ID, password, and unique taxpayer reference. If you're not sure how to obtain these or have any questions regarding these credentials, you would need to reach out to HMRC for help with that. The self-assessment tax year that we're looking at now runs from the 6th of April 2023 to the 5th of April 2024. This return needs to be submitted online on or before the 31st of January 2025. The content of reports and returns in FreeAgent are date-driven, so please do check that you've entered the correct accounting dates. To do that, click your business name at the top right, choose Settings, and then Accounting Dates. Please do not be tempted to put in any data dated before the FreeAgent start date. If you've been trading for a while, this historical data needs to be entered as part of your opening balances. You can find guidance on this by going to our knowledge base. Under Getting Started, you'll see a section about opening balances. Do make sure that you choose the correct one for your business type and for which basis of accounting you're using, cash or accruals. Okay, let's get started by going back to the overview page. As you can see from my overview page, there's almost no data in my account. I have created an invoice dated in the 2023-24 tax year, and I've added some bank transactions for that period too. I'll create a new invoice and bill in a few minutes to let you see how to do that. The next step, though, is to bring all your bank transactions for the year into your FreeAgent account. Then we're going to record your income and expenditure by explaining all the business-related bank transactions. Going forward, you can import your bank transactions into FreeAgent regularly by setting up the automatic bank feed. You can set up a bank feed by going to the banking section, click Bank Accounts, click on the account that you want to set the feed up for, and then choose Enable Bank Feed. From here, you would select your bank and follow the on-screen instructions. If the bank feed is via open banking, then you can import transactions up to 2 years prior to the setup date. If not, then you may have to upload historical bank transactions. This can be done by logging into your online banking account and downloading the transactions in either a QIF, OFX, or CSV file format if available. It might also be an idea to download the transactions in manageable chunks, so say a month at a time, to make sure that your FreeAgent bank account reconciles. In other words, you want to make sure that your FreeAgent account mirrors your actual bank and there are no duplicate or missing transactions. Once you've downloaded your bank transactions, if you've got anything other than a CSV file from your bank, don't open the file you've downloaded because it will change it if you do that. Instead, you'd go into FreeAgent, go to Banking, Bank Accounts, click the bank account you want to work with, and then click the Upload Statement button. This is where you would upload the statement file into FreeAgent. We're going to come back here just shortly. I have already uploaded some transactions. So if in my business current account, you can see I've got some unexplained transactions there. If I say I want to see the transactions, the unexplained transactions for all time periods, I can see them there. This is what your account will look like after uploading a bank statement. You should see all your transactions in red. That means you need to tell FreeAgent what these were all for. Or if you enable the guess option as you upload your statement, FreeAgent will try to work out what your transactions are for and mark them amber instead to show you that you need to confirm that FreeAgent's guesses are correct. I'll tell you more about the guess option just shortly. But first, let's look at recording income, which can be done in 2 different ways. The first way I'm going to show you is to create a sales invoice. You can do that by going to the Work tab, then Invoicing, and click the green Add New Invoice button. On a side note, any green buttons in FreeAgent indicate you're going to create something new. In this case, we're creating a new invoice. First, we'll input the general invoice details on this screen. Choose your customer, choose the project if it applies, set your invoice reference, and then you can date the invoice. I'm going to put this invoice on the 1st of December 2023. Choose the correct currency. We'll leave this as pound sterling, but you do have the option to choose lots of different currencies. We have more optional features down here. I would recommend having a look at the knowledge base to see what additional options are available to you when you send invoices. For now, I'm going to generate this invoice by clicking the Create New Invoice. So you see there, FreeAgent has generated a blank invoice for us. We can add invoice items by pressing the green button, Add Invoice Item. So I'm going to put in some information. Like that. You can, if you wish, add this to a price list. If this is an item that you sell regularly, then you'll be able to just pull it across from your price list next time you issue an invoice. Or you could manually enter the details as I've done and then click Create and Finish. Once you're happy with the invoice, you have the option to mark it as sent. This will tell FreeAgent that you've sent the invoice to your customer and it's ready to be matched up to a bank receipt. Once all your invoices for the 2023 to 24 year are logged on FreeAgent, you would go back to the bank, like so. Make sure you can see the transaction in question. So this is the receipt for that invoice. So what I'm going to do is to click on it. That expands it, just gives me some quick options to explain it to. You see FreeAgent has suggested that this is a receipt for that particular invoice. That's correct. So all I need to do is to explain the transaction. If you have Guess enabled, FreeAgent will do its best to match the transactions automatically. As you can see, it has done for me. I could, if I wish, change the invoice by overtyping that, but I'm going to explain it like so. I'm also going to explain the £500 transaction to the invoice I created before the webinar started. See again, FreeAgent has suggested it. Explain transaction, and you can see those transactions have now turned to green. That means no further work is required on them. Alternatively, if you don't need or want to create invoices, if all you're doing is updating your books quickly, ready to file your tax return, and you won't have any issues with income being created in the wrong year if you do this, what you can do is you can simply explain the cash coming into the bank as sales. You can do that in bulk, or you can do it the transaction at a time like we did with the invoices. So FreeAgent has suggested that this would be sales and given me a description. Again, I can just explain the transaction. I can also bulk explain by ticking the boxes to the left of the transactions and choosing over here to explain them to sales and put in a description. There we go. With either option, you can create additional income categories if you need to. If you want to have more than just one category for sales, you can go to settings and accounting categories and set up some more categories there. But for now, we're going to move on to expenditure. Expenditure the business has incurred and or paid for. Again, you can do that in two ways. You can enter a bill. Bills in FreeAgent are used for invoices that you've received from a supplier that you're going to pay from the business bank account, but not immediately. Record those by going to Bills and create your first bill. So I'm going to choose the supplier contact. I'm going to put in a bill reference number. That would be on the supplier's bill. And I'm going to say that this bill comes from the beginning of December 2023 and was due for payment that same day. I want this to stay in sterling, and it's going to be for £80, and let's say it was accountancy fees. Then I can click Save and Review to look at the bill and make sure that it reflects what my supplier has sent me. Then if I go back to the banking section, go back to the bank account, make sure that I'm looking at all my transactions just so that you can see them all. If I click that particular transaction, which I know is the payment for this bill, you see again, because I've got Guess enabled, FreeAgent is suggesting that this is a bill payment for that particular bill. All I need to do then is to explain the transaction. Or alternatively, if you don't have bills to match the payments to, you can explain the bank money out as a payment and choose the category from the drop-down instead of creating a bill. Again, you can do that individually, or you can do it in bulk. See, I've got there 2 payments to Staples, both of which belong in the same cost category. They're both stationery. So I can again explain those in bulk and speed up the process a bit. So I'll explain those transactions. Again, with either option, you can create additional expenditure categories if you need to under settings and accounting categories. If you are VAT registered, please be sure to enter the correct rate of VAT for both income and expenditure. The VAT returns in FreeAgent should then mirror the returns you actually file directly with HMRC. So let's just pause a minute to look at Guess a bit further. This is a feature that can save you time as you use FreeAgent. When you click the Upload Statement tab in the bank, you see you've got the option to do as I've done and guess explanations for your bank transactions. FreeAgent will attempt to match the transactions for you as you've seen it do for me. If you have an open banking feed, not only will guests be automatically enabled, but FreeAgent will also suggest transactions that could be explained to the same category in bulk. For guests to work, you need to have uploaded at least one statement and at some point have explained at least one transaction. FreeAgent will then use the history of the transactions you've previously explained to help explain your next upload. And if you click here, you can learn more about guests. You may also have some out-of-pocket expenses to enter for yourself or for one of your colleagues. Those are business transactions where you've used your own personal cash to pay for them originally, and the business is due to pay the money back either in the near or long-term future. To do these, go to My Money, Expenses, click Add New Expense. Be aware, if you're a sole trader and you're the only user on your account, then that will say Expenses, not My Money. So if I click to Add New Expense, you have the same options here as you do in the bank to allocate to the appropriate category. I'm just going to quickly add one. I'm going to jump back to December 2023 again. And I'm going to say that was for £100, accommodation, meals, hotel bill. And I'm going to create the new expense. Then if I go back to the banking area, I can show the reimbursement of my expenses. You can see I've just got one transaction left to explain. I can click there to go to it. That's what this is here. It's the repayment from the business to the individual of the costs that they incurred personally. So in order to show that, I want to choose money paid to user as the type, and I want to make clear that it's an expense payment. I'm then going to explain the transaction. So to sum up the banking section, you need to explain all transactions in all the business, bank and credit card accounts. That's so that your income and expenditure is all included in your profit and loss report. You also want to make sure that your bank balance in FreeAgent, which you can see over here, matches your actual bank account balance. If it doesn't, then there are probably missing or duplicate transactions. If you're a sole trader using a personal account, please make sure you explain all the business-related transactions. You can ignore the non-business transactions, which if you've ticked your bank account to be a personal account, your non-business transactions will actually show grey, not red. All the transactions you've explained, where relevant, are automatically pulled through to your profit and loss report. You can check that under Accounting, Reports, Profit and Loss, and make sure that you've got the correct accounting year selected. Please check to make sure you're happy with the sales and expenditure figures. You can click on each category to see how the figures are made up and edit them if required. For example, if I click on sales, you can see an itemized breakdown of the total sales figure from my profit and loss. So you can see there the bank transactions I explained earlier and the 2 invoices that I've created. I'm just going to go back to the profit and loss account and show that if you click through there, you see the expense, the out-of-pocket expense, the different costs will show the different transactions that have been posted to them. If you want to check your profit and loss account figures back to your self-assessment return, you can choose to sort under Show Transactions by tax reporting type, and that will group the categories as they are grouped on the self-assessment tax return. The figures from the profit and loss account are pulled through onto your self-assessment return. To view the return, you choose Taxes, Self-Assessment, your name, if applicable, and you click the tax year that you wish to file, which in this case is 2023 to 24. Whatever account type you have in FreeAgent, you will see all these different pages: main return, employment, self-employment, UK property, as well as tax adjustments and your tax breakdown. FreeAgent will pre-populate different pages depending on your account type. For example, if you have a landlord account, the UK property pages will have some boxes pre-filled. And if you are a limited company director running payroll through FreeAgent, the self-employment pages will have some boxes completed. For a sole trader, if we go to the self-employment page, this is the page that reports a sole trader's business income and costs. You can see that the sales figure from the profit and loss account has pulled through automatically to the sales box, turnover, box number 9. FreeAgent automatically completes up to 90% of the self-employment page for sole traders and calculates the tax due based on the data you've entered in your account. Expenditure, in other words, the bank transactions, supplier bills, and out-of-pocket expenses that you've entered and explained, get pulled through to the relevant boxes too. You can see them there. Quick tip in passing, if you can't see your expenses, if these boxes are all showing as 0, what you've probably done is you've chosen to claim the trading income allowance, which gets you £1,000, up to £1,000, up to the level of your income, whichever is the lower, to set against your sales. But you can have that, or you can have your expenditure to set against your income to calculate your business profit. You can't have both. So if you notice that these transactions all say 0, you might have mistakenly claimed the trading income allowance. So we've talked about the expenditure being pulled through. If you have a limited company, remember the company's income and expenditure would go on its tax return, not yours. So they won't appear under taxes self-assessment. If you're a limited company director, you are not self-employed unless you also have a sole trader business as well as the company. Don't expect to see the company's income and costs here. If you have an unincorporated landlord account, you'll see the property income and costs on the UK property page. Again, not the self-employment page, that's for sole traders. Please do run through the final checks FreeAgent provides before you file your tax return. You can see those by clicking on the Prepare to File Online button. This list will help ensure you've entered all the relevant information, includes helpful links to each section of your self-assessment tax return. Below this is a list of the self-assessment pages supported by FreeAgent. That's also included in the self-assessment introduction knowledge base articles. And lastly, go through the final checklist to make sure that you haven't missed anything. Once the required forms have all been completed on the self-assessment tax return, you will see the fields to enter your Government Gateway ID and password. When a self-assessment tax return is filed, the relevant tax period will be locked. That will restrict any changes to be made which can affect your return. You will also be given what's called an IR mark. That is a unique code provided by HMRC, which they can use to identify your submission. One question we often get asked is, how can I be sure that HMRC have actually received my tax return? Or sometimes customers ask us when they log into their HMRC online account, after filing their tax return through FreeAgent, they can't see the tax return has been filed and they worry that HMRC haven't received it. Let me reassure you, if you can see the IR mark, your tax return has been filed and submitted successfully to HMRC. HMRC do sometimes take a bit longer to update their systems, so you might not see it straight away or even within the first couple of days on your HMRC online account. But if you've got the IR mark in FreeAgent, and where you'll see the IR mark once the tax return is filed is over here on the top right of the main return. If you can see that, HMRC have received your return successfully. Thanks very much for that. Lastly, please note that FreeAgent is not licensed by HMRC to provide tax advice. We can only advise you on how to use FreeAgent, and how to fill in any boxes on your tax return that haven't been pre-populated by FreeAgent will nearly always count as tax advice as far as HMRC is concerned. If you need any tax advice, such as whether a particular tax relief, that's a way of saving tax, applies to a specific cost for your business or specific income that you've received, you would need to ask your accountant or you'd need to contact HMRC. If you have any questions about using FreeAgent or on this webinar, please feel free to contact the support team, our friendly support team. You can email them on support@freeagent.com, or where you see the help option here, that lets you reach out to our friendly robot, Ruby. You can ask her questions, she'll answer you if she can. If she can't help you, she'll forward your query to one of her human colleagues. It's been helpful for you. Good luck with completing and filing your tax return, and thank you very much for your time.